Aviation. Former President Goodluck Jonathan rejects APC Presidential Nomination Form obtained for him by a group. On the foreign scene, Mauritius government faces no confidence votes. And sport, FIFA orders NFF to pay Gernot Rohr $380,000, threatens to sanction Nigeria. Details coming up shortly. Good afternoon, welcome to the news on Planet Radio 101.1 FM. I am Bright James. We'll begin our news this afternoon with the reports that President Muhammadu Buhari has charged the World Bank and the African Development Bank, AfDB, to activate the $19 billion pledge meant for land restoration, tree planting, development of climate resilient infrastructure, investment in small and medium-sized farms. Speaking in Aviation, Côte d'Ivoire, the side event, he convened at the ongoing UN Conference of Parties COP15 in his capacity as the president of the Conference of Heads of State and Government of the member states of the Pan-African Great Green Wall Agency. Buhari said the fund would also support smaller farmers, create an institutional framework to enhance security, stability and governance, and capacity building. The president, while calling on development partners to support the One Plan Summit initiative, also underscored the importance of recharging Lake Chad, now down to 10% of its water volume, as 11 Sahel nations discuss ways and means of assessing the $19 billion pledged by donors for the activities of the Union. Meanwhile, the president explained that the inter-basin transfer of water from Central Africa to the Lake Chad should be taken seriously, asking the secretary of the agency, funders, and the soon-to-be appointed consultants to carry out the measure as well as restoring the socio-economy of the more than 30 million people of the Lake Chad Basin area. However, Buhari canvassed more support for the One Planet Summit initiative and the political will to actualize the mandate. Meanwhile, President Buhari has returned to Abuja from the capital of Côte d'Ivoire, Abidjan, where he attended a summit of the heads of state and government of the 15th session of the Conference of the Parties COP15 of the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, UNCCD. The president delivered an update to Nigeria's environmental efforts to the summit, which had a theme: Land, Life Legacy, from Scarcity to Prosperity. The COP15 was the United Nations organized conference on the future of land regarding desertification, drought, degradation, rights, restoration, and implications for national and world economies. Meanwhile, Buhari, who is also the president of the Great Wall in Africa, was accompanied on the trip by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Yema, Minister of Environment, Mohamed Abdullahi, Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Mahmoud Mohamed, and Minister of Water Resources, Suleiman Adamu, an engineer. From the Green Chambers, the House of Representatives have secured the cooperation of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation to make available 6 million liters of Jet AI aviation fuel to aviation fuel marketers chosen by the Airlines Operators of Nigeria, AON. The deal was struck at a meeting with AON representatives at the National Assembly. Stakeholders present at the meeting included the representatives of the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources, Ministry of Aviation, Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN), NNPC, Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority (NCAA), Nigerian Airspace Management Authority, among others. Recall that AON had earlier threatened to shut down local airline services, but reportedly withdrew the threat under pressure from the federal government. The airline operators say rising costs of key inputs such as aviation fuel necessitated the intended shutdown. Meanwhile, parts of the resolutions reached at the meeting, which lasted for over 3 hours, include that as a long-term solution, the airline operators must commence as soon as possible the process of securing a license for the importation of aviation fuel to avoid suspicion over the land cost of the product and other associated logistic issues. In politics, former President Goodluck Jonathan has rejected the 100 million naira All Progressives Congress APC Presidential Expression of Interest and Nomination Form is brought for him to contest the 2023 presidential election by nomadic Fulani, pastoralist and Amajiri communities. Jonathan's media advisor Ike Chukwueze in a statement said it was an insult for the community to buy the forms for him without his consent. The statement was in reaction to the earlier purchase of the forms for the former president to contest the party's ticket with all the aspirants for the 2023 presidential election. However, he expressed appreciation for the overwhelming request by a cross-section of Nigerians for Jonathan to make himself available for the 2023 presidential election. On his part, the leader of the nomadic Fulani, pastoralist and Amajiri communities, Ibrahim Abdullahi, had earlier told newsmen after picking the forms that Jonathan should be re-elected to enable him to complete what he began. Among other things, he said Jonathan was the first president since the country gained independence in 1960 that found it expedient, through his magnanimity, to remember the Amajiri community. Back here. Ahead of the formal declaration of his intention to contest as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Akwa Ibom State Governor Udom Emmanuel has consulted members of the State Traditional Rulers Council on his aspiration. President General of the State Traditional Rulers Council and Okwibo Ibibio, Ntenyin Solomon Etuk, led the royal fathers at the government's house for the consultation. Governor Emmanuel said he found it imperative to consult traditional rulers from the state before the official declaration of his aspiration. The governor, who described the challenges facing the country as pathetic but redeemable, said he has the capacity and experience to rescue the nation from the challenges.
The normal official declaration, maybe for an official declaration, the royal fathers of my land. So we call that declaration. And simply not of my royal father. This is I'm over Nigeria. If you don't say this is where I am, nobody will say that's where you are. And it's a pathetic case. And therefore, no matter what happens, maybe we made a hagida. But since you force anybody, you don't go. So some people must also rise up and offer themselves to save the situation, because the situation is irredeemable.
In the remark, President General, State Traditional Rulers Council Ntenyin Solomon Etuk said the governor has the blessings and support of the traditional institution on his aspiration.
Wow, this is a wonderful thing. This is something that has not happened in Akwa Ibom State. It has happened. The governor wants to. He's an aspirant. And that we have been informed as the father. And we give him the blessing. That is all the royal fathers has. Just the blessing. Give him the blessing to go ahead with his programs.
While the state's Deputy Governor Moses Ekpo, the Secretary to the State Government, Dr. Emmanuel Ekwem, and Commissioner for Local Government Chieftaincy Affairs attended the brief consultation visit. While Akwa Ibom State Governor Udom Emmanuel has called for a period of national prayers for God's intervention in the many challenges facing the country. Governor Emmanuel said this at a special service and prayer conference with the theme, Odi God. The governor, who decried the rising insecurity in certain sections of the country, however, appreciated God and the people of the state for the relative peace currently being enjoyed in the state. Governor Emmanuel noted that human efforts appeared to have failed in containing the challenges in the nation and assured the people that it was only God that can provide permanent solutions to these challenges.
In a situation like this in a country where every other thing has failed, have we tried God? In the past 7 years, we've never as a nation declared a national prayer before. As a country, I don't think we've come as one body, as leadership of the nation, to declare a national prayer. But God, the arm of flesh, has failed us take over this battle. And we're still in it as a people. I think Nigeria had gotten to a point that God has to do something. If God does not intervene by 2023, we should forget it.
On the forthcoming elections, Governor Emmanuel said his aspiration for the presidency of the country was not for negotiations or self-aggrandizement, but to partner God to rescue and restore the nation.
So whether we believe it or not, God is looking for a leader this time to partner with in order to rescue and restore this country. And if we all fold our arms and think, oh, I don't want to be rubbish, I don't want to be blackmailed, we'll continue to be where we are. And there must arise somebody who is going, not for self-aggrandizement, but for what God can use him to do. I think that's why some of us needed to step out so that God will use us if He so wishes. I'm not stepping in because I'm looking for what to eat. Say, God, if you need a man to partner, here am I. Send me. God needs somebody to partner to rescue Nigeria. I'm a firm believer in this nation. At our age, we can't live anywhere else. So we must stand firm to see what we can do to rescue this country. We can make this country better than what other places are. And it takes a man. The person or the leader will always make a difference.
Earlier in the sermon, a guest preacher, Prophet Isa Buba of the Evangelical Outreach Ministries International, preaching the theme, Only God. Church Christians always pray for and believe on their leaders. The special church service, which featured prayers for the governor and his completion agenda, was attended by religious and traditional rulers and top government officials. You're listening to the news on Planet Radio 101.1 FM. Let's take a breather and then bring more stories from our foreign, sports, and entertainment scenes. Do stay with us.
Locked in core values. Planet 101.1 FM, Uyo.
Thanks for staying with us. Now on the foreign scene. The parliament in Mauritius will today debate a motion of no confidence filed against the government by the leader of the oppositions, Javier Lukdova. The motion follows last month's protest against high prices of foodstuffs, public transport, petroleum products and cooking gas. Dova also wants the government to reverse some of its unhealthy policies and take urgent measures to improve the well-being of citizens. The no-confidence motion is the first in 26 years. Debate is expected to be held until late at night today, as it is expected to last for 10 hours and 30 minutes. In sports, FIFA have ordered the Nigerian Football Federation NFF to pay former head coach of the national team Gernot Rohr the sum of $380,000. The money is compensation for Rohr, who the NFF sacked as Super Eagles handler in November 2021. The German was dismissed after 5 years in charge, with Augustin Guavon brought in as an interim replacement. Rohr took his case to FIFA to demand $1 million for breach of contract. However, the 68-year-old was granted $377,879 after a FIFA tribunal decided his claim was partially accepted insofar as it is admissible. The ruling also said that the NFF would be sanctioned if Rohr is not paid in full within 45 days. On the entertainment scene, Nigerian singer Temilade Openi, professionally known as Tems, has made her debut at the #1 spot on Billboard Hot 100 charts. The songstress hit the mark with a feature on Wait For You by American rapper Future. The track also featured Canadian artist Drake and is the 7th on Future's new LP album, I Never Liked You. However, while this is our first #1, recall that Tems had earlier debuted on the Hot 100 last year, October, with our feature on Essence Remix. The hit song by Wizkid also featured Justin Bieber and peaked at #9 on the charts. It has been the news on Planet Radio 101.1 FM. But before we go, a recap of the major stories. In the news, we told you President Muhammadu Buhari has charged the World Bank and the African Development Bank, AfDB, to activate the $19 billion pledge meant for land restoration, tree planting, development of climate resilient infrastructure, and investment in small and medium-sized farms. We also brought to news that the House of Representatives have secured the cooperation of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NPC) to make available 6 million litres of Jet AI aviation fuel to aviation fuel marketers chosen by the Airlines Operators of Nigeria (AON). Former President Goodluck Jonathan has rejected the 100 million All Progressives Congress (APC) presidential expression of interest and nomination forms bought for him to contest the 2023 presidential election by nomadic Fulani, pastoralist and Almajiri communities. On the foreign scene, we told you that the parliament in Mauritius will today debate a motion of no confidence filed against the government by leader of the opposition, Javier Lugduva, while his sports reported that FIFA has ordered the Nigerian Football Federation (NFF) to pay former head coach of the national team, Gernot Rohr, the sum of $380,000. For comments and coverage of newsworthy events, call an usual 0812-770-2940. That is 0812-770-2940. Visit our website on Planet 101FM. Follow us on Twitter at Planet_101FM. You can also like our verified Facebook page at Planet 101FM. Uyo, the news was edited by Florence Essien and Jane Owa. As you end the news, always remember to forgive yourself for your mistakes and move on. It can only get better. I am Bright James. Good afternoon and thank you for listening.